Hi everyone, my name is Bailey Smith, and today I'm going to talk about the Enneagram Types. So what's the buzz? I want to ask you guys a question. Who in here has ever felt like there is someone you know that just feels so opposite to you, like you just don't understand them? Yeah, me too, like all of my siblings. So what if I told you there was a tool that we could use to understand each other and understand why we might seem so opposite to other people? It can actually be really fun and cool to understand people's natural personality types. I've been slowly studying and researching the 9 Enneagram types for a little over a year now, and I'm really excited to share with you what I've learned. Knowing our Enneagram type and the type of others can help us to understand each other in a greater depth. So today I want to cover with you what are the Enneagram types, what are they useful, and how they will completely change our perspective about behaviors, choices, and actions of others. So let's start, of course, by understanding what these Enneagram types are. Each of us has a unique essence of self. That, of course, cannot ever be reduced to a number or a category. But according to Peter O'Hanrahan, a counselor, Enneagram trainer, and teacher, the Enneagram describes 9 patterns or themes by which we develop a personality and a social persona to meet the challenges of love and work. So, about a little over 100 years ago, there was a guy named Oscar Ichazo, who was a Southern American philosopher, and he collaborated with his colleagues in the US to develop these 9 personality types, which they brought over to the US and they implemented in their psychotherapy sessions. So this has been a really big thing in the psychology world for a while now. And since then, millions of books have been sold, articles have been written, and the Enneagram has been implemented into the work and home environment. So, here they are. Type 1 is the reformer. These are perfectionists, they are organized, they're their own worst critic, and they don't like to make mistakes. Type 2, the helper. My husband is a type 2. They're very lovable, they have a desire to fix things, they say yes, and they're always wanting to help people and go the extra mile. Type 3, the achiever. They're ambitious, driven, they want to put on a good face for everybody, and they're really good at checking the boxes. Now, type 4s. I'm a type 4 myself, the individualist. We are creative, uniquely talented, we like to cry with you, go into really deep conversations, and see the beauty in the small things. Type 5, the investigator. They are logical thinkers, steadfast, curious, and they are visionary. Now, type 6, the loyalists. They're highly trustworthy once you gain their trust. And they believe the world is pretty hazardous, which is why they're cautious in a lot of things that they do. Now, type 7, the enthusiasts. If you think of Michael from The Office, they are the life of the party. They bring in magic into the room. Type 8s are the challenger. They're powerful, they are heroic and inspiring, and they have no problem taking heat from others. And last but not least is the peacemaker. I have 3 peacemakers in my own family. They're patient, they're homebodies, they like to avoid conflict. So, now that we have a baseline of what these Enneagram types are and their dominant traits, let's talk about how they can influence our desires and our goals and can help us play a huge part in gaining a better respect for others and tackling hard situations in our work or home environments. So I will tell you that the respect you'll gain for others by knowing their type is going to be insurmountable. And it's a lot of times you have to think of it as, just because I'm really motivated in something like my education and my career right now, doesn't mean that other people or other types aren't as motivated in something else in certain aspects. And it doesn't make them any less valuable for having that motivation in other areas than me. So tackling our work situations, our home situations with an Enneagram mindset. As an organizational behavior senior lecturer at Manchester Metropolitan University Business School, Anna Sutton carried out years of study on the Enneagram type to summarize it into this. But is it real? She said. And in her summary, she said, the Enneagram is a great tool to help people develop self-awareness and giving us an insight into our own behaviors and motivations to ease personal and work relationships. She goes on to explain it in a situation like this. So if a child had kind of poor parenting through their life or other traumatic situations, they might go into work with dysfunctional habits. They weren't given those opportunities to build skills of self-awareness in order to take on difficult situations better. So by giving them that self-awareness, they can recognize their blind spots and be able to deal differently with conflict. We can't expect that people will have a higher level of emotional intelligence, like our peers in the workplace, if they weren't given the opportunity. So the utilization of the Enneagram can effectively bring that self-awareness and emotional intelligence. And one of my favorite things that Sutton says is that the Enneagram is a modern tool with ancient roots, which can be used to give people clarity to their automatic behavioral responses. It is not intended to put people in a box, but help them recognize their fixations and give them the option to choose to progress in their development. So now that we understand some of being aware of our others and their Enneagram types, let's shift our perspective altogether to on what having a daily Enneagram mindset might look like. In all my year of researching and kind of learning, it's boiled down to one concept. If you don't take anything away from this speech today, at least take this. So being aware of our Enneagram type helps us have emotional awareness, which will bring us emotional maturity. So what does emotional maturity look like? Emotional maturity can look like asking questions versus jumping to conclusions, being mindful of your tone and respecting boundaries, and all of these other things that I have listed here. It is truly, in my mind, one of the most invaluable tools that we can possess to have emotional maturity in such a chaotic time right now, and especially during an election, right? So I've seen it work in my own life, and I look at others' decisions differently by harnessing that emotional maturity, and by knowing their Enneagram type can handle and talk with people better and have better discussions. So in an article that was written by Brent Schnipp, a psychiatry physician, he talks about the concept of stress and security. And coming back to the Enneagram types, we take on behaviors or responses of like maybe our closed wing types, like so me being a type 4, my closed 3 wing type, or closed 5. And I feel like this slide right here explains that best. So as a type 4, in stress, I can become pretty clingy or over-involved, or I can take on my 3 wing and become disengaged. But in a growth mindset, I become like a 1, and I'm principled and objective. So Enneagram types are not the end-all be-all, and they don't have to just be another label to blame our actions on or others' actions. And they don't hold us back from personal growth. They actually encourage it, and they encourage qualities that we want to possess. So our Enneagrams bring so much to the table in everything we do, and ultimately help us connect more deeply with those around us. So today we covered what the Enneagram types are, how they're useful, and how they'll change our perspective altogether on people's choices or behaviors. Now, hopefully after all this, you want to find out your Enneagram type. So I'm going to leave this picture up here with a link to the first test that I was ever introduced to, and you can find out your type there. By knowing our type and the type of our loved ones or others, we can grasp better emotional maturity, address our behaviors, and live in better harmony together. Thank you.